Steve made us watch movies directed by that German dude.
Made is the key.
I saw Alone in the Dark, and I mean I just saw Alone in the Dark. And Charlie saw House of the Dead.
Mine was also T-minus like 6 hours.
So we're gonna. This might be a new
New low.
Yes. Let's get this over with.
Are you ready for Movie Versus? Welcome to Movie Versus, the podcast where we pin two terrible movies in an all-out battle for the best of the worst. Here are your hosts, Tyler Lamb, Charlie Pixley, and Steve Janik. All on Movie Versus!
How's it going, everybody? My name is Tyler Lamb. This is Movie Versus, the podcast in defense of bad movies. I am joined by my co-host, Steve Janik. Steve, how are you doing today?
I'm good, because I didn't watch these movies.
That's a fair answer. And also my co-host, Charlie Pixley. Chuck, what's up?
I had like some of the greatest moments of my life this weekend, and I had to come back into town and watch this movie. So I would say it was a perfect weekend.
Yeah, you flew out to Cali and saw
Migos
live.
Lifestyle.
You saw Migos live at, the
Subway.
The parking lot of Roscoe's.
That sounds pretty dope, though.
It does. Go and get some mac and cheese and a wing or two.
I have zero clue what's going on.
But anyway, I did nothing this week. Well, no, it was a Labor Day weekend, so I did no labor. I got drunk at a pool, so instead of watching this movie, I finished watching it about 10 minutes ago, 15 maybe.
Sounds good to me.
So I'm just going to hand the reins over here to old Stevie Janik boy over right here to ask us the questions, and I guess we'll see how we take defending these movies.
First of all,
what up,
Charlie?
These are, by the way, video game
adaptations,
and Charlie and I have to have. Well, no, there's no convincing. Steve knows that these are bad movies.
This is Bollywood.
Oh God, these are directed by a notoriously terrible director. Notoriously panned movies. These are like. There's no getting around the fact that these are bad movies. We are just going to have to make them sound better than the other movie.
Yes.
In some way, shape, or form.
Keep in mind, this is the director that was getting so much hate mail that he had to basically tell people they had to stop sending him hate mail unless they could prove they were a valid critic for an actual news establishment.
And then the one valid critic, he fought in a boxing ring, and he beat his ass. Because I think Uwe Boll was actually like a trained fighter.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. And the guy was just
when you make movies
critic.
like this, you gotta be able to back it up.
Yeah, you got to have some other type of skill.
Because that's not how you make your money.
No, you just have to have some skill.
And I did do some research on Uwe Boll that I said I would, that we will talk about later in this podcast. And also, Charlie and I both did a little research to find some interesting tidbits about the makings of our films that we will talk about later as well. So stay tuned for that. And Steve, you just look like you can't wait.
I am so excited.
The IMDb trivia page is always full of little hidden gems.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you guys can't see it because we're not videotaping this, but there is a twinkle in my eye.
Which soon we may start videotaping these and putting them on our YouTube channel, the Three Wise Media YouTube channel. So
that was a good segue.
Yeah,
I didn't even mean to do that.
I know, but then we're gonna have to segue right back into you asking them questions.
Sorry, Charlie. Quick synopsis of House of the Dead.
Okay, so if you've ever played the video game, well, the theme is like survival horror games this week, right?
Yeah.
So this is essentially a group of people that are looking to go to this rave on an island, and they get there, and they can't find anybody.
I believe you said rave and island wrong.
Yes, that's true. They want to go to a rave on an island, sponsored by Sega. as all the best raves are. And
The only ones I ever go to are.
well, yeah, exactly, all the best ones.
The only ones worth going to.
So these people go, and of course they encounter like the grumpy sea captain who's like, "I won't take you there," and they offer him enough money. He's like,
Played by
"Fine."
Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, exactly.
When she was 12?
She traveled
It's
through
how
time,
she. That was on her.
became a man.
That was on her reel. That's how she got the grumpy cat role.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly. Really propelled her into stardom. So they get to this island, and they get stuck there because the captain leaves, and basically they find a shit ton of guns and a shit ton of zombies and survival mode. Engage.
Where is the house?
I'm not even
it's
shocked.
just-
After watching Alone in the Dark, I am not shocked that is what happens.
Where
in
is
that
the
movie.
house? It's just on the island.
So there is a house on the island
Yeah.
somewhere? Okay.
Do they go into
do you
it?
want the GPS like coordinates?
No, it's just when we watched that trailer, there wasn't even
What's
a
the
shot of
latitude
a
and
house.
Yeah, there was the one because there's that the flashback when they show like the Spaniards.
Oh, that's
holding
true.
that one dude
That's
chained
true.
up.
Sorry. Yeah, then all I remembered seeing was like stone pillars everywhere.
There's lots of those.
Okay.
That's as simple as I can make it, really.
And that's as simple as it is.
You read the script.
I forgot. All right, hold on. Fade to black. Okay. There we go.
Perfect.
Smash cut.
All right, Tyler. Quick synopsis of Alone in the Dark.
Well, according to the 2-paragraph plot synopsis on Wikipedia,
Holy shit.
Carry on.
Size 72 periods and commas, I'm guessing.
yeah, just the punctuation was very
Well, yeah, they
huge. I
got to
don't-
trick the reader.
Christian Slater is a former government agent for this like paranormal government agency, like the secret form of the government that does that
Deals
crap.
with the things they don't want America to know about.
Exactly.
Biopic
and
for Christian Slater.
yeah, exactly. And he's not in it anymore, and he's but of course in his free time he investigates this ancient Mayan civilization or something like that. And basically these people opened up a portal or are trying to open up a portal to like another world where there's like these demons, and they gotta stop them from coming in.
Sounds like Doom,
and
kinda.
I was gonna say it sounds like
yeah,
Doom without
it kinda,
the space station.
It kind of is like that. And Christian Slater kind of falls into it because he's doing this research. And then this stuff happens, and then the government agency is called like 713, and they come in and they're like, "You retired. You're no longer 713. What are you doing here?" And he kind of falls back into it with them, and they gotta try to keep it closed.
The most important question is, how does Tara Reid get involved in this?
She is
Plays
the
Christian
well.
Slater.
There's a bunch of artifacts, a bunch of the artifacts that Christian Slater is trying to get, and that have to deal with.
Do not tell me she's the archaeologist.
No, she's the
President of the
she's the
United
assistant curator of the museum.
That's close enough to archaeologist for me to be angry that she's been cast.
Yeah, it's.
This was like 2 weeks.
bones are old.
I have some interesting tidbits about one, just scenes with Tara Reid that I observed, and also with just how Tara Reid's scenes were handled post movie that I will talk about later. But
To be completely fair, I'm pretty sure this movie was filmed like 2 weeks after American Pie was filmed.
oh really?
So
I
she
thought
was
you were going to say in 2 weeks.
Probably.
well, and then the 8 weeks of them digitally putting in the monster.
Oh,
And
there is
Tara
a
Reid's emotions.
Jesus.
You
So
hit her acting, I hit her looks.
So yeah, it's just. I mean, it's as simple as I can put it. Just like Charlie said, there's.
Why don't you go ahead and unsubscribe, Tara Reid? Okay, nobody wants you listening to this podcast. So
Yeah, clearly we're showing that we're just bullying Tara Reid, saying that she doesn't deserve to be a assistant curator of a museum. Steve,
I've seen episodes of her TV show.
she had a TV show.
She had a TV show on like the Travel Channel where
Yeah,
she
Dr. Drew Celebrity Rehab.
No, she just
Wait, no, on the Travel Channel, was
Yeah.
it called Tara Reid Assistant Curator?
no, I can't remember what it was called. It might have been like Tara Does America or something.
I was about to say that as a joke.
But
Tara
she
Does
would just
America?
No, it might
That's
be like
on late night on
No,
cinema.
it might have been like Tara Does the World, where she just like went places and got shitty drunk. It was just like she was like, "Hey, we're in, I don't know," and just hammered.
So somebody
Okay.
just like filmed her life, which how it would have happened anyway.
Yeah.
For like a year.
But then someone paid for her to do it.
And that's already like
I mean-
essentially what she'd be
Yeah.
using.
Okay, I don't even know. I don't even
Yikes.
know where to okay.
begin with either of these.
Yeah.
I don't think Uwe Boll
okay.
did either.
Despite having video games.
Yeah, exactly. And full scripts originally, allegedly.
To be fair, my movie is a prequel to the original video game.
Is it really?
My movie is a adaptation of. You gonna cough the whole time?
I'm
there, Steve?
trying.
Is
I
that-
think the problem is that I'm trying to not cough, so it's like making me cough
Yeah,
more.
take a drink. Take a drink. My movie is an adaptation. I just imagined you coughing all of that liquid on me after you. Mine's an adaptation of the fourth Alone in the Dark video game. Yes.
Good place to start.
Yeah, as always, right smack dab in the middle.
No.
I mean,
So-
the best movie trilogies in the world always go out of order.
So,
Fast and Furious mainly only.
Yeah.
so, since these are both survival horror / kind of shooter game for Charlie, what is the best death scene in your movie?
Okay, there's two things I want to point out.
He just rolled his eyes before he.
Well, I had to think like how I wanted to phrase it. So
Okay.
one is the grumpy sea captain eventually comes back to help save them or whatever because he feels some remorse or something for dropping them off there, knowing he's sending them to their doom. And this one dude, there's this long like fight scene throughout the entire movie, and this guy is getting attacked by this zombie. And the zombie's like strangling him, and the guy's like, shoot him! What are you doing?" And it pans over to the grumpy sea captain with a gun. He just goes, "What do you think I'm doing, you fucking moron?" In the most like low level, calm voice from like 50 yards away, so there's no way he could hear him. Then he blows the zombie's head off. But I would say it would have to be. There's no like singular best death scene, but there is. I think I clocked it at about a 15-minute fight scene. Well, not even fighting, just like shooting scene.
Holy
with like
crap.
10 people into zombie after zombie after zombie. But at the very end of this shooting scene, they show the one dude who's like the nerd role, and he just like the light flashes before his eyes, and they do a montage of that fucking scene. At the end of that scene, it's like an extra 2 minutes, and it's like, I just saw these clips. They montaged a scene right after it. And then it's it. There's no more action after that. It's just like, oh.
That's for your convenience.
Yeah.
And for their budget.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I guess you're gonna ask me the same question. That's why you're looking at me.
You know that's happening.
I would say they're two deaths because they're kind of one and the same. There are two different scenes in this movie where somebody jumps off of a bridge or high thing, and jumps off, but not like jumps off like belly flop style,
Like
just
Les
falls
Miserables.
down. Yeah,
Crowe
Russell
death.
Crowe.
But why are they doing it?
Well, the one, I guess the first one, he's not dying. He's just jumping down onto Christian Slater. He's like, ah! And the second one was like a zombie-like creature that they're just unloading with bullets, and he just jumps down, and while he's falling down, he's just getting riddled with machine gun. He's like, and
I mean, that's what happens when you take your fighting tactics
never
from
s-
thwomps.
yeah, you never
in
see
Mario
that.
64.
You never see that character ever again.
Because he was shredded apart by bullets.
Yeah, I guess. And the one that jumped down on Christian Slater later gets shot like 12 times by Christian Slater, and then Christian Slater throws him onto a like pipe that impales him.
I'm not sure if you're trying to just say Christian Slater over and over and over again, but I like it.
I mean, I don't have to try. He's just got a name that rolls off the
Yeah,
tongue.
dude, Christian Slater. He's not saying it just out of nowhere. Christian Slater. Hey, do you care if I have one more?
Go for it.
I forgot. There's one where they go into.
Oh, I thought you were saying
barns.
another Christian Slater.
No, they go into one of these barns, Christian Slater, and they see one of their friends just standing there with his head kind of slouched. And I mean, this dude is clearly dead, but they're like, oh, like Timmy or whatever his name was. Timmy, are you okay? And he just kind of goes, and then a hand just bursts through his chest. And they're like, oh, and the whole thing, like right when the hand busts through, it's all like that shitty slow-mo where it's kind of blurry, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, people are freaking out. But just, like, you can't even see the zombie behind him, but it's set up so that it's like, you know, he would be off to the side if that hand was going.
Yeah. I've got another one
Like
for
he was
you.
intentionally.
I've
I'm sure this could just go while he's describing one that I think of while I'm describing.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say we're gonna go
That's
back and forth. There's another one that reminds me of one. That reminded me of two. One was this girl. This one of the like 713 agency members is on the ground, and one of the creatures. It's a trimmer. Like this one's like a trimmer like creature, so it comes from the ground. I mean, goes through the girl, wraps itself around her, like totally fucks this girl up, and then he like the creature gets away, and Christian Slater walks up to her and checks her pulse. and there's also a scene.
Well, no. I just imagine someone being like, "Is she okay?"
He did go. And there's also
Oh
a
my
scene where
God.
this dude, who I guess he's too much of a bitch to go actually inside. I'm not sure if it was Christian Slater or not because they were all wearing helmets and they were
they're
all
just doubling up the cast.
And they were all white guys, so he wasn't squinting a lot. So I doubt that it was Christian Slater. But he walks in and it's him and this girl that's left. And he's like, "You go in first. I'll be right behind you." And then he walks in after her a little bit later, and you just see these legs in this hallway like twitching. And as he moves up, it's the girl, and her face is just completely split in half. And she's like,
Holy crap!
Sounds pretty hot.
Was this movie rated R?
yes.
Okay. I mean, I'm assuming Charlie's was rated R too because
Mine was rated M for mature.
What else you got for us, Steve? Because I feel like there's going to be a lot of similar answers, though, throughout this entire
and I think
podcast.
with these movies, it's more going to be Tyler and I then just get to a point where we just talk about funny shit that happened in the movie.
Okay. So, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, if you were remaking the trailer for this movie, what would you have put into it or taken away from it if you actually even remember the trailer? Like to take things away.
I'll go first on that one because that's easy as fuck. Because I would actually make a goddamn trailer. This was just, I mean, that scene was in the movie where that security guard gets killed. That's like within.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean that happened within the first 10, 15 minutes or something like that. And Christian Slater and Tara Reid were like walking around That was after. That was after the scene where Christian Slater like meets up with Tara Reid, and it turns out that they're, I guess, ex-boyfriend and girlfriend or something. But they run into each other, and he's like, "Tara," and she's like, "Oh my God, Christian Slater!"
Always believable for when a girl who played a teen in a like a mid 2000s movie hooks up with a guy who played a teen in a 1980s movie.
Love knowledge.
I just have to say the rest of this scene. They hug each. She says, "Oh my God, I missed you so much," like exclaiming it. Hugs him for a while, and he's like, "Oh yeah." And he might actually have said that. I think he might have. And then they break their embrace, and she clocks him in the face. I'm not talking like smack. She straight punched him, just boom. Yeah, cold cocked him in the face. And she goes, "And that's for not calling me." And I was like, yowza. That wasn't a smack. It was a punch. Christian Slater went back.
That's a crime.
Yeah, that is full on
hard time
assault.
for that.
and I burst out laughing. Just what? Oh shit! I just had to tell you that part.
No,
Tara
that's
Reid
fine.
punches Christian Slater.
So what part of the movie would you have made this put into the trailer?
I would have put that punch in.
Just put the punch in. Okay.
I would have put the punch in. I would have put more Christian Slater in. I would have put. There's a scene of him talking with an old like agent guy of his like outside at a restaurant, and the guy's like, "Why did I agree to do this?" And he's like, because you like me or something like that. I don't know. And
You're using two Christian Slater voices right now.
that's true. Christian Slater played every character in this movie. No, I mean,
Sorry, Charlie.
honestly, I might be sounding like I'm making up some stupid dialogue. I am, but it's probably just as
way.
about as
It's more or less the same.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I would have just made a trailer, which
Yeah.
we couldn't find one.
I know I was giving you a little bit of carte
Then
blanche there.
again, we didn't really search too hard for a trailer.
No, the problem is that we searched kind of hard, but all we got was game trailers and the second movie trailer.
Yeah. And one that was called like Alone in the Dark promo reel.
Which looked better quality than the trailer.
Not
All right.
again.
So Charlie.
Okay, this is gonna help if you know who Clint Howard is.
Yes.
Okay, you know he.
That
Sorry, that motherfucker is hideous.
Wow, Charlie, we're not body shaming on this podcast. We're only Tara Reid shaming.
So if I was changing up the trailer, I would portray it lots of sections of just black, you know, like a classic teaser, and have just scenes of the rave and portrayed as just like a party movie at the beginning, and then at the end have the line that Clint Howard says when they're like, yeah, we want to go to this island for the rave, and he goes, that's called Isla de la Muerte. That's Spanish for death, in case you can't speak Mexican.
Wait, is Clint Howard in the movie?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But did you hear what I just said? That's Spanish for death, in case you can't speak Mexican. So I would have that, but not as a laughing thing. It's just as like the warning at the end of the
repeat.
trailer for a good teaser.
I gotcha.
was Clint Howard the captain?
No, he was
Damn,
the
do you
captain's
think-
like second man, and he had a hook.
Oh,
do you
that's
think-
even,
Like,
that's
you could
even
tell he was
better.
old.
Do you think he
That shit was
consulted his
wobbling
brother
out.
about this movie? Do you think he was like, "Hey, Ron, I got this. I got a new vehicle that I think I can really."
Ron actually played every zombie.
No, Ron was just like, yes, Clint, you should take it because I'm not paying for your meals anymore.
Ron was like, "Don't call me brother."
I don't want people to remember that.
I wish we could get a family divorce.
Steve, what else you got?
Okay, so imagine, if you would,
Hey, I'll try.
this movie has gotten licensed for toys.
Okay.
Tell me the main toy for this thing and what special feature they would add into it to like really bring the feel of the movie to the play.
Well, obviously, you would have Tara Reid with, action joint so she could punch faces.
And probably Tara Reid action joint that she smokes.
And you got to have Christian Slater in a trench coat. And then, I mean, they sell themselves, really. I can't really tell you what the monsters look like.
Let's say any video
Can-
game
like-
from early 90s
What
or something.
do you mean you can't tell me what the monsters look like? Were they too in the dark?
Yes, for the most part. It was a very dark film.
How many polygons were they made up of from 1 to 10?
I would guess probably 3. No, that
Three-sided pyramids with no bottom.
they're like a mixture of like xenomorphs and like well they kind of look like
Third step of
xenomorphs.
Oh, fuck.
Xenomorphs in the third step Animorph. Correct. That is exactly what I was saying. They kind of look like face huggers, but if face huggers like just grew, like if they're just bigger
That's not a
and
bad
kind of
design, though, I
mixed
guess,
with
still.
like a wolf, maybe. I don't know. They ran around a lot.
Okay.
So those would be sold like
Oh.
hotcakes,
Of course.
and sold with hotcakes.
I mean, how else are you gonna sell 'em?
Exactly.
You ready for mine?
I am so ready.
So mine would be the hot hit toy of the summer, and it'd be a new Barbie style, like a special licensed edition Barbie.
So it would be crotchless, like all Barbies are.
No, it wouldn't, because
Now with crotch.
let me explain. It would come with the Ken doll, and you
Sample
open,
me.
You open her up, and you like pop the a little spot in her back. You fill her up with some water, and then when they're playing together, there's like an RFID chip in her, and it senses when she's near the dude. And then you hit his button, and he goes, "Oh, we need to get out of here before it starts to rain. I don't want to get wet." And then the RFID chip picks up the sensor from her, and then the liquid is released through her crotch, and she says, like she does in the movie, "Too late."
Wait, that's a real scene?
During a zombie outbreak.
Yeah.
Wait, is the zombie outbreak happening?
It's like 30 seconds before they're dead. Well, they go off on their own.
Too
Oh,
late.
but do they know about the zombies yet, or are they just like getting down at the rave?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
I don't think they do. No, the rave, they never like go to the rave. The rave happens before they get there.
Oh.
And all those people are wiped out.
Well, that
All right.
sucks. Some Sega rave.
God, is that what all my money from Sega Channel went to?
Unfortunately, didn't even get to experience it.
It's too late.
So, that's all my main questions. So,
Yeah.
so Tyler, final thoughts before I make my decision.
Okay,
Anything
well,
you want to bring up?
Yeah, I got a couple things I want to bring up. So I mentioned Tara Reid punching. So the movie starts out with Christian Slater having some type of like dream flashback, and then he wakes up and he's on a plane, and he kind of wakes up like, oh, kind of scared, and he has a little kid sitting next to him, and the kid
throws him out of the plane.
The kid says, did you have a nightmare or something like that? And he's like, yeah, fuck you, kid. Essentially, he's like, yeah, it was just a bad dream. And the kid, nobody says anything like this, but the kid said, like, nobody says something to prompt the kid to say this. The kid, though, says to Christian Slater, my mom said that you shouldn't be afraid of the dark. To which Christian Slater replies, after looking around a bit, I would assume looking to see if his mother is next to him,
I hope he says
and
what I think
goes,
it says.
well, she's wrong.
I thought you said she didn't know shit.
He goes, well, she's wrong, because they're, like, fear is what makes us want to and says something, which, what would you think about Christian Slater's character after he says that to a kid?
I mean, he's definitely unhinged.
Pretty badass.
A badass? Well, I would kind of say he's kind of an asshole, but don't worry, because in the next scene,
He hits the kid.
there's a voiceover that says, you might think I'm an asshole for scaring that kid. And then he gets into a cab, and with no luggage, by the way, and the cab driver goes, oh, you travel light. To which Kristen Slater responds, I carry enough baggage for the both of us.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my god.
I'm screwed.
And I decided that I would also, because I didn't really explain it too well, the movie, I decided I would read it has an opening crawl a la Star Wars, so I decided I would read the opening crawl to you guys. Here we go.
Someone penned this and then
Yes.
committed it to a crawl.
In 1967, mine workers discovered the first remnants of a long-lost Native American civilization, the Abkhani. The Abkhani believed there are two worlds on this planet, a world of light and a world of darkness. 10,000 years ago, the Abkhani opened a gate between these worlds. Before they could close it, something evil slipped through. The Abkhani mysteriously vanished from the earth. Only a few artifacts remain hidden in the world's most remote places. These artifacts speak of terrifying creatures that thrive in the darkness, waiting for the day when the gate can be opened again. Sorry, this is a very poor quality that I'm reading off of. Bureau 713, the government's paranormal research agency, was established to uncover the dark secrets of the lost civilization. Under the director of archaeologist Lionel Hudgens, Bureau 713 began collecting Abkhani artifacts. When the government shut down his controversial research, Hudgens built a laboratory hidden within an abandoned gold mine. There, he conducted savage experiments on orphan children in an attempt to merge merge man with creature. Hudgens' victims survived as sleepers, lost souls awaiting the moment of their calling.
That crawl was forever.
Correct. It was 1.5 minutes long, and somebody also reads it.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Good. I'm not going to read all of that myself.
And the funny thing is, when I first saw that, it was on the YouTube version that was at like 1.5 speed, and I was like, man, this is long.
They said it's Tara Reid's reading levels, so it's a 15-minute sequence at the beginning.
And just to show that, I mean, I'm going to show Steve the quality of screen grab. That was what I was.
I don't know how you read that.
It was very difficult. Just so listeners don't think that I cannot read.
That looked like hieroglyphics.
Which I am well versed in.
No,
inside jokes.
As you were talking or reading that, all I could think of was, what if the twist was M. Night Shyamalan twist, we're the world of darkness, and they opened up the thing to the world of light.
God, that would have been insane. Which this movie was, so I wouldn't have put it past it. I don't really have much to say when we're going into real thoughts, I guess I can give spoilers and stuff. But yeah, Charlie, I'll give you the soapbox. What's that, Steve? Did you have a question?
I was gonna ask in a spoilerish type question.
Well, go for it. Then
I was just gonna ask
no, Steve.
In the end,
does it even matter?
No.
Oh.
I
just figured. Yeah, I know. I figured you would tie it to your favorite album of all time. Yeah.
Wait, I thought that was on Meteora.
No,
that's definitely
hybrid theory, dude.
See, I'm not as big
asking
of a
the
fan.
master. Anyway, what were you gonna say in the end? What?
How do they kill all of the things? Do they banish them through the portal?
Interesting question. Charlie. you have the box.
Okay, I'm just gonna go through my notes and read off some things that stuck out to me. When they first stumble upon these ruins, there's just lots of ruins in both our movies.
Yeah, ruins and zombie-like creatures as well.
The poor nerd dude, it's like, oh my god, this looks like it was built a millennia ago. And this one girl, for no reason, just goes, Simon, centuries. Okay? And he's like, I'm sorry. It's like, what the fuck? So rude. They have to go through footage later of a camera they found or something from the rave.
And it's that scene again?
It's a montage of that
we
scene.
gotta flip through the stuff because there's all sorts of boobs in this movie. And of course, they're just fast forwarding.
There
through
were
there,
zero boobs in my movie.
The guy's like, flipping through
No, when he's doing that and laughing, do they know zombies? I feel like every time you say something, I have to know whether or not they know they're in mortal peril.
Kinda.
Only kinda. Were there any bush in those photos?
No, unfortunately.
All right, so neither of our movies had bush. I want to point out, I'm going to cut you off, Charlie, that you reminded me of this, and by that I mean I totally forgot what I was going to say. Hold on, he said, oh, fuck. You said that.
Built a millennia ago.
The centuries.
Ancient ruins.
Cameras, boobs.
Zombie-like creatures. And God damn it. Never mind.
Oh.
Well, you can pop back in whenever.
Yeah.
Hold on. The grumpy old sea captain is the old German grandfather from Beer Fest. So
nice.
Pretty fun.
Nice.
Let's see. There's a point where this movie is like gun porn. It's like a 5-minute sequence of when they're like, just pick your weapon, and all these people are just racking guns 4 or 5 times.
there's this
just dumping bullets onto the ground.
there's a scene like that in Alone in the Dark and I thought it was a great homage that they were able to put in real video game footage of Alone in the Dark into this scene, and it was a scene where lights were just flashing, and it was disturbed type music, oh yeah, and guns going on, and it was jaw-droppingly long.
Mine had a similar thing, except for instead of a song like that, it had some sort of special rap song that was like, oh yeah, motherfuckers in the house of the dead, you roll with us, or something. It's like, oh Jesus. And as far as the videos, there were 32 clips from the video game in my movie.
Like real clips from the video game?
Yes.
Oh, wait, I was making a joke.
No, mine were real, and they phased them into certain characters. I actually did kind of appreciate this part. Certain character models in the game, they recreated in real life, and then they flashed in between. So if you're shooting a zombie that had one arm in the video game, then it showed the live action version of that.
That's kind of cool.
But out of 32 of those, remember that long-ass action sequence I said?
Yeah.
26 of those are in that fight scene. And the rest of them are used as transitions in between scenes. So it'll just be like, oh, what are we going to do? You know, and pan away from them sitting around the campfire. And then just a quick 3-second scene of a zombie, like first-person shooter, and a zombie going, and then the next scene, which could be like an open beach, something really serene. So those were the video transitions for that.
I don't even understand what you just said.
So, like, instead of, like, a wipe?
No, but, like, so they use that instead of wipes, but, like, they were completely unrelated to what was happening?
Yeah, the transition ones were.
Like, I was just making sure that it was, like, they were sitting around a campfire, and then, like, a zombie attacked them, and they did it, and then they're like, cut. Okay.
No, because when I was first watching it, I thought, like, something fucked up in my video. But it was so... I mean, they're, like, 2 to 3 seconds long. Just, like... And the next scene. So, it's... a lot of gun porn, but I noticed such a stereotypical movie gun is the Desert Eagle. Everybody knows it's this huge handgun, and they're like, the old sea captain just pulls out all these guns. He's like, pick your weapon wisely. And at this point, they know there are like hundreds and hundreds of zombies. So this chick picks up Desert Eagle. And he's like, Desert Eagle, good choice. This is a gun, like one handgun. They're machine guns and shotguns.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like. Like, just get the maximum amount of bullets.
And in this arming scene, like I said, they're just like racking guns and loading and stuff for
Racks
an
on
obscene
racks on
amount
racks.
of time. Yes, and at one point, the guy is handing somebody 2 pistols, and he hands them to them in their face. I laughed so hard because he's just like, and the person grabs him like barrels first towards their face and puts them down. And he's just like, here you go, and it's not even supposed to be funny or threatening. He's just like, here you go, but it's all in like slow motion.
Jesus.
This may be unfair, but I really feel like you guys have to see this scene of Tara Reid punching Christian Slater. So I pulled it up right here. Charlie, can you see that at all? I know that this is not, the listeners.
optimal.
The listeners will not be able to, it's
That's
a viewing.
cheap as fuck.
But you guys have to see it.
Ew.
If
I was not underselling that punch.
that guy had more beard, I would have mistaken that for a scene from Sharknado.
And I was correct when I said he goes,
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Well, he probably got a contact high.
probably.
Man, I'm going in on Tara Reid, just like the rest of America.
I thought they were already out.
yeah, it's like a Sarlacc pit. One of the scenes in the big fight in the movie, a guy grabs a little grenade, pulls a ring, throws it, jumps away from it, mushroom cloud from a fragmentation grenade.
God damn it.
There's a scene at the end where every one guy, one girl pair that showed no signs of it earlier in the movie hooks up by the end. And this zombie like spits. He gets his head cut off. And
Wait, the zombie gets his hand cut off?
Head cut off,
Oh.
and he spits acid after, where it's like the dude flips over his head and the zombie spits acid on his face and like scars part of his face.
Acid?
Yep, fuck you.
Okay.
And this guy has a bandage on his face, and towards the end of the movie, like when you think the zombies are first killed for sure, this dude's like, "What am I gonna do?" Well, first of all, the chick goes, "Are we ever gonna get off here?" And the dude goes, "Who cares? It doesn't even matter anymore." She's like, "Well, I mean, I care. It's my life." He goes, "Yeah, but what about me? When I get back, who could ever love me? Somebody with a face like this." And he has like one small bandage on it. And this chick, oh man, it sounded like some white knight dream come true, because this chick is like, "Well, Tommy, you've been very brave, and I still find you very sexy." And then just goes and kisses him. It's like, oh my God, it was some cringeworthy shit, but it's like some classic sci-fi stuff. Let's see.
Charlie, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some more information about like the old Spaniard guy on the island.
Yeah, so I don't know what the hell happened with that. It just showed like the Spaniards came to this island, and there was already like a group of kind of voodoo worshipping people there, and they treated them poorly, and that's kind of how then they killed some of those guys and put that curse upon them.
Okay.
And that whole thing. And this is an old times when this shit happened, right?
Yeah.
And they have a captain's log, and the captain's log is in like perfect Helvetica font printed. And there's an electric light in it too. So.
Nice.
Oh, and are you a big Smallville fan, Steve?
I never actually watched Smallville.
You a relative Smallville fan?
Yeah.
He's a relative of a small.
I probably-
Lois
yes.
Lane is in the first 5 minutes, and she is butt naked.
What? Well, I guess your movie wins.
Well, there's no
Jeez.
bush, though.
Oh,
but
never mind. Not worth it. Steve, I guess that's all you got, Charlie.
Well, I have other things, but I think those fall
Yeah.
into more the fun
yeah,
stuff.
I got you. That wasn't the fun stuff. Steve, do you have a decision to make? Yeah, well, you do have a decision to make.
I mean,
have
yeah.
you made it?
I don't know. It's kind of hard. Charlie's has that amazing fight sequence that
So amazing. The scene's so
30
nice they show it
And
twice.
32 video game scenes.
32 video game scenes. 32 video game scenes at like 3 seconds apiece? That's like a minute and a half of video game.
Mm-hmm.
But Tyler's has Christian Slater.
That's what I think. It's
True.
either I think my movie sounds better, but his has the star power.
I'm gonna have to go with Tyler because I need to see Christian Slater and Tara Reid interact consistently.
Oh well, then you'll be disappointed by the unrated director's cut Uwe Boll put out, which apparently has virtually no Tara Reid scenes in it.
Hey,
He cut all of them.
I have a similar one where they change up scenes and dialogue and everything like that.
And this movie was terrible. I was just scrolling through it to find that scene with where she
Tara Reid
punches.
clocks him.
Yeah, I knew the like timestamp it was because I was like, oh, I gotta show him this. While I was scrubbing through that, there were characters that I don't remember. I was like, oh man, when did that happen? Like, and I just watched this movie an hour ago. Like an hour ago, I was watching this movie.
They should put a
And-
montage in
of all the important scenes.
of the movie at the end of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And that opening crawl was rough. Apparently, it tested so poorly. Like people were so confused by the plot. Uwe Boll was like, "Oh, fine, I'll just put in this opening crawl." And he wrote that opening crawl and that thing was ridiculous. I mean, you heard me read it.
Did they do a how did this get made about this?
I don't know.
Because that sounds familiar. That like trivia.
It
piece.
was, yeah, it was just bad, and the acting was terrible, and it just was consistently bad. There was a scene where when they're like, Christian Slater, what are you doing here? You need to leave. And he's like, fuck you, dude. I used to be your protege. And he's like, well, you're not anymore, so leave. And he's like, you're a pussy.
good reasoning.
You're a pussy now, and you got soft. And Christian Slater like goes at him and like tries to fight him, and they pull him off. And he's like, fine, I'll leave. I guess you're right. I guess I have gotten soft. Then Christian Slater turns around
I'm not a pussy.
and he pulls out the dude's key card. And then later in the movie, they're walking
Jesus
somewhere,
Christ.
and the guy turns around and he goes, "Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna need my ID back." And then he turns around, and just keeps walking, and Christian Slater does like a "Oh you," and then puts on his trench coat and keeps walking. I mean, it was just bad. I don't remember anything that happened. It was rough trying to tell you the plot of this movie.
And that's why you pulled up the crawl. So
Yeah,
you just have something.
I mean,
to
I
talk
did
about.
have the Wikipedia page like with me when I was watching it because I didn't know, and it is 2 paragraphs. I mean, and it's funny because one of the first sentence, the second sentence talking about Slater's character says he was apparently the subject of strange experiments when he was a child.
Yeah, sure.
like they don't. Apparently, this happened. I guess he had like supernatural abilities, and he was experimented on as a kid, and he had this
Christian
like
Slater was.
yeah.
Just the normal Christians.
But honestly, that has nothing. As far as I'm aware, it had nothing to do with the plot. Like
That seems like ripe storyline.
and it ended with him. Well, yeah, fuck you, Steve. It ended with, first off, he was like like trying to uncover a missing person, like a little girl went missing. That's how he like stumbled on this. But that went out the window. I totally forgot about that. The ending is them coming out of this tunnel, and they just like look around. And
How'd they get in the tunnel?
Well, that's where they were getting to the door that was
Okay.
being opened. They blow shit up, and him and Terry Reid come out, and he's just like, well, there's that. And they close the tunnel, and then they just start walking around an empty city, a la like the end of Resident Evil. And it says that it's a city like a day after evacuation. But then he says something, or like somebody says something about how like they took all the creatures took over. And I don't know. They're like, I was like, wait, did they think that the creatures took over?
I don't understand what's so complicated.
And then it ends with him and Tara Reid walking down the street alone from behind, and the camera like does one of those speed up, comes up to him, and you hear like the sound of a monster, and then Christian Slater turns around. It's like, and then it freeze frames, and that's the end of the movie. I do not know what the fuck happened at the end of that movie, or most of that movie. It was terrible. Charlie, let's hear your thoughts, and then we'll go into some fun facts and Rotten Tomatoes stuff.
Mine was pretty fun.
Damn it. See,
they'd be better if they just cut out all the shit and just left in the action scenes, though, and just make it like 45.
I mean,
minutes.
honestly, there could be a interesting movie there, like bare bones. Apparently, the original script was more of a like a psychological thriller, and then when Uwe Boll got it, he just like essentially took out almost all of it and made it this like horror shooter action movie.
So you know what we have to do? We have to
find that original script and
yeah,
remake it ourselves.
with Tara Reid and Christian Slater again.
Perfect.
I
I mean,
think
they're
I
not
got,
doing
like,
anything.
I got like $5 in my wallet, so
So we got Tara Reid booked, and we got some money left over for Christian Slater.
and Subway.
Exactly. Which Tara Reid loves.
So we're paying them nothing.
Yeah. They'll just take one bite, and that's good for them.
I mean, Alone in the Dark is a 1% on Rotten Tomatoes. It has one fresh review out of 117, and it's an average score of 1.7 out of 10. Critics' consensus is inept on almost every level. Alone in the Dark may not work as a thriller, but it's good for some head-slapping, incredulous laughter, which I would kind of debate. Reviews are just the horror, a violent and incomprehensive piece of gibberish. No excerpt available. Those are always good. Lame monster movies like this adaptation of the popular Atari video game are scary for all the wrong reasons. House of the Dead is at a 4%.
Hold on.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
no, Charlie. I'm sorry. I for some reason thought Charlie still had more.
Oh, do you? You seem like you were. That's all you really had to say.
I don't know. Let me think.
I can
Because
find.
you said you had some stuff that was for.
I
this
think we
part.
do need to find the
Yeah,
one
like trivia
positive.
stuff.
Oh,
I don't know if he's
okay.
doing that, but I mean, overall,
We'll
the
do
movie-
that here in a second. Yeah.
The movie was fun. It would be better watching with people for sure, but I mean, the action was entertaining in that like Crouching Tiger style.
That over the top, like ridiculous shit.
Over the top for sure. I mean, these zombies were jumping like 50 feet, and you know who else was? The humans.
Damn
And
it.
they were all skilled in like every gun.
I found the one positive review.
I'm sad. I made a mistake.
I found the one fresh review of Alone in the Dark. Alone in the Dark isn't going to set the world on fire, but it largely succeeds with what it has to work with.
But it
Just
made
don't
me set my house on fire.
just don't take it seriously, and you'll have a fun time. House of the Dead is at a 4% with 57 total reviews, 2 fresh reviews. Critics' consensus being a grungy, disjointed, mostly brainless mess of a film. House of the Dead is nonetheless loaded with unintentional laughs. And he has a 9% of viewers like that movie, 10% of viewers like my movie. I want to meet those 10%. Little reviews for House of the Dead. Don't come looking for a story. This is a hunt. That's a pretty good one. A derivative shock horror exercise desperately in need of an IV. The fresh reviews are, while not as technically brilliant as some zombie fare, House of the Dead more than makes up for what it lacks in terms of sheer heart. Sure, it's a low-budget venture, but it doesn't feel forced or contrived, but rather reveals in its low-budget restraints. And the other one is, which the other one's by a top critic from the LA Times. I think he lost his job after this.
I love when you like read a critic review and you're like, dude.
There's scarcely a whiff of originality in the zombie horror picture House of the Dead, but Uwe Boll has directed it with enough energy and style that it adds up to a passably mindless, if grisly, fun. So there's that. What kind of trivia do you got for your
I would say
your
that's
movie?
accurate, though. I mean, like, there was energy in the movie. There weren't parts where maybe a few scenes where it's like, okay, I could see myself kind of, getting pulled away or whatever. But when the action's going, they switch it up to enough different characters that if it were just one person, you'd be like, okay, whatever. But I mean, hold on, part of my trivia actually ties into this.
Yeah, let's hear some trivia stuff that you
Apparently,
found.
this is the last film that ever used the turntable 360 shots using actual, like, they stand on a turntable and then a camera on a rig just goes.
Yeah, the
wham,
actual,
and
like, all the
slings around.
camera.
Yeah, this is the last movie to ever do that because they said it was it's
Super
just too
dangerous.
fucking dangerous.
Yeah, well, because I know
dangerous
the
as
Matrix
shit.
just did it with like a shit ton of cameras.
Yeah.
like for the
And
bullet
now
time
it's just
effect.
CGI
Yeah.
most of the time. So I thought that was kind of funny. Oh, let's see. Danish cinemas just didn't buy this movie because of the reviews.
It's pretty funny.
There are so many in movie errors, continuity errors,
Oh,
as
yeah,
far
I
as like
bet.
somebody shooting a machine gun and then it goes to bullet time on them and they're holding like two pistols and then it cuts out of bullet time and they're holding a machine gun again. The zombies get blown away. They clearly are on wires. When they jump, you can see the trampolines that are like the spring pads that just launch them in the air. It's just everything like that. There's a scene where somebody comes up to a chick with a double barrel shotgun, 3 zombies. She goes, and it's like a bullet time scene. She goes, blows away 1, blows away 2, and then the scene goes back.
And then
the
she
third
blows
zombie,
the-
the third zombie just disappears.
She's that good, dude.
There's the House of the Dead. There's some TNT outside, and that blows up, and it blows the door in, and then they go inside towards later on in the film, and the guy shoots a powder keg, and the house blows up, and then the door blows back. This movie, which actually, I don't know, for the time that the effects, they didn't look good, but they were cool, I guess, if that
Passable
makes sense.
for
Like,
the-
not even passable in the sense that, like, you could tell they were special effects, but they weren't like, oh, those are so bad that this is dumb. They were still kind of cool, like, okay, whatever, that zombie jumped and did a front flip with an axe and threw it. Like a front flip where it's clearly Austin Powers wire work.
Yeah.
But the other chick jumps up like 12 feet and shoots a shotgun. And then
Oh, we
there's
saw that
bullet
in the
time
trailer.
on, like buckshot. Yeah, exactly. So stuff like that throughout the entire thing, which I thought was kind of cool. And then this movie, I guess my last thing would be, it cost $12 million and it made $13 million. So, according to Wikipedia, it was one of the only quote successful movies for Boll. Because I'm guessing there was like no advertising.
Well,
for this.
I'm gonna throw this one out there before I go into Alone in the. Actually, you know what? I'll go into some Alone in the Dark stuff. I already told you about the script, and the guy who wrote the original script obviously was not too happy about all that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to credit. For
Also,
that shit, then.
originally, this movie was supposed to tie in with the 5th Alone in the Dark movie. Like this was kind of supposed to be either like prequel, like tie-in, lead into the 5th game. Sorry, I said movie. But
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that because I was saying how
like the
fuck
first
did they
movie,
figure that out?
the first movie should tie into the
But
fifth movie.
but the creators of Alone in the Dark delayed the game and were reworking everything from scratch because like
They were too
fans,
afraid.
Well, fans like just hated that idea. Obviously, they were like, "That's terrible! Like, don't do that." And they probably saw what Boll was doing, and so they were like, "Oh boy, we need to not do that. We don't want to force our fans to see this movie." And also, this movie had a budget of. It started out with a budget of $10 million, but then the execs read the shooting script and decided to give Boll an extra $10 million, which he
they
Just
gave him
the shooting
double.
script.
Yes.
Just the gun part.
yeah, no, that was That was all poured into the special effects unnoticeably. And
To make Jerry look human again.
or
Christian
to make
Slater on that
or
one.
to make her look like she has emotions.
Yeah.
And yeah, to make Christian Slater's eyes more visible.
Less dead.
And
They use the Renee Zellweger algorithm.
oh, dude, I didn't know they let that out. I thought that was a kept tight secret by Hollywood. Man, I can't
out
believe
now.
I can't believe you got a hold of it.
Thanks, WikiLeaks.
And it made 10.4 million in theaters.
Ooh.
And
So they shouldn't give him that extra 10.
and I guess
shit.
you're all wondering, how does he continue to make movies?
Yes. Oh my God.
And I was correct in some manner because, and he revealed this on the DVD commentary of Alone in the Dark.
Which I know you didn't watch, but I imagine that I want to think that you did.
He explained how he funds his films, and he said, maybe you know it, but it's not so easy to finance movies in total. And the reason I am able to do these kinds of movies is I have a tax shelter fund in Germany, and if you invest in a movie in Germany, you get basically 50% back from the government.
Oh,
So
shit.
he obviously received significant negative publicity because of that, and that explains how he is able to get the money for the films that he makes and how he continues
Huey
to
Bowles movies are essentially Scientology.
pretty much. So I wasn't, I couldn't,
Some of these scenes were believable, dude.
I couldn't figure out what. Oh, now we're gonna get black booked by Scientology, and we're never
Isaac
gonna
Hayes
become.
is going to join the podcast to quit.
Oh God,
fine
not
by me.
again. And it was just so last week I was kind of right when I said he used the government.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of like the right word for it because it's not laundering; it's just tax exploitation, I guess. And
Dude found a loophole.
and because I mean that In the Name of the King was $60 million budget, and it made $10 million, and he made a sequel to that film. Like
dog.
and he's in the middle of making a fourth Blood Rain film. Like,
Has he done all the Blood Rains?
You give
Yes.
the people
Okay.
what they want.
but there was an Alone in the Dark 2, and actually it got received way better than the first one. Like people were like, "This
did
is
he direct
actually."
the second one?
No, he did not.
Okay, that makes sense.
Some other people apparently were inspired
Must have been
somehow
like
by.
before the times of reboots, where they instead of were nowadays.
Yeah,
just
they-
Yeah,
fucking
these people were just
restart
like,
it.
"Oh, I want to make a sequel to this for some reason," and yeah, people were like, "Hey, this is actually better." But yeah, he didn't. I think he might have been a producer, but he did not direct it. It was directed by two dudes that, yeah, I don't know their names. But yeah, that's the life and times of this man. He is an interesting character who I will not know if I'm ever correctly saying his name.
I don't think I ever want to know.
I mean, it adds to the mystique.
Hey, can I say that when I watched this movie, I watched the first 20 minutes on a YouTube video where I only saw like 60% of the screen because it was zoomed in, so it doesn't get taken down for copyright. And then that one got too bad, so then I watched the rest of it on a YouTube video of somebody filming their TV of the movie.
No, I don't want you to say that.
Okay. It was
That's how the podcast gets taken down forever.
it
Because
was interesting.
I did
Thank God
something.
they just didn't have that bar like, when you film a TV. sometimes.
Yeah, I did something like that where I watched it with it was zoomed in as well, and it
it
was sped up,
sucked.
and it was sped up, and it was shit quality. And then eventually I was like, I found out it was on Showtime, but I couldn't log into Showtime because like too many devices or something. And then I came home on my lunch break at work, and I was like, there has to be a torrent for this out there. And there were two. Both of them had one seaters.
Oh, shit.
And one was like 2 gigs, and the other one was like 600 megabytes. And I was like, I'm going for the 600 megabyte one. And there were like 30 comments, and they were all like, this movie is absolute shit. And I was
So
like,
one person's got their computer set up, seated that shit.
yeah, and I was
want
able
the
to
world to
download it
know.
in like 20 minutes, which was surprising. But yeah, I got home, and I essentially just had to start watching it. So the SWAT team's going to come breaking through my window because I just admitted to downloading this movie illegally.
No, but just make it easy on yourself. Admit that you would not download a car.
I would not download a car unless
just stream it.
Yeah, I would just stream the car to yeah.
When my movie opened, I forgot to mention this. It's like a quick 5-second title sequence of the production company or whatever. I couldn't read the full word because, again, it was so zoomed in. It was just like huge letters. it just starts off with a quick voiceover and some still shots, and it's a guy who's like, all my friends are dead, and I just wanted to try to go to a rave. And then the movie just kicks off. It's the ground running. I thought that shit was so funny. That's why I texted Tyler just like...
Yeah, you said the first
I was like,
10
oh
minutes.
my God. No, the first 10 seconds, I think, it's
yeah,
just like,
right.
oh, shit. I just want to go to a rave. Now
Yeah.
my friends are dead.
Man, that's just I
sorry.
can't believe that I watched this movie.
I mean, I didn't want to pick Charlie's just because it was like, just sounds like a bunch of shooting. And while that does sound
It was
fun,
pretty cool.
and while it does sound fun, I was like, I feel like
You wanted
there's-
the raw character
I want-
I
development,
think if I would have had a celebrity, like...
No, if you would have had
like a Howard brother, or
if you would have had any character that sounded interesting,
I don't know any of their names. I mean,
because they aren't interesting.
I think the character.
I'm not saying they are,
Christian
dude.
Slater's character's first name was like Edward or something like that.
No, I don't care. You sounded like you had people that talked to each other.
Oh, they did every now and then.
And I wanted to hear some people talk to each other at some
hey,
point.
I had dialogue. Remember, like, oh, I don't want to get us wet, and she's like, too late.
And I'm gonna do a Joe.
That was more hindrance.
I'm gonna do a Joe Groller segue here, and if you want to talk to us, you can do that by
Shove off.
you can go to our Facebook page, Movie Versus Podcast, and or the Three Wise Media Facebook page. We also have a Twitter, Movie Versus Podcast.
You take snail mail at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah, just address to us, and they'll get it to us.
But not a threat.
Yeah, because we record this in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
Make sure you send it in a manila envelope with just like random machine parts in it.
I'm gonna advise at the end not to do this. Just from clarification at the beginning before we all get on list. But I was gonna say just put a little bit of like sugar.
I was thinking the
Just a
same
little
thing.
bit of sugar. But it is bad to joke about.
Well, you know if you
anthrax
put
threats
well, you know
to
if you
the
put
White House.
if you put sugar on your tongue, it's easier to lick the seal because then you don't have to taste the. So you just put it on the seal and your tongue so that when
You guys don't send a lot of letters anymore. There's like almost no.
Yeah, I know,
Like
you-
envelopes
you-
that actually
you
like,
pull,
there's the pull thing.
yeah.
gross.
But that didn't fit my agenda for my joke. So
Fair enough. That's,
Always
because
a
of that-
fucking agenda.
can we talk about how because of that George's fiance would have survived in Seinfeld? No,
It's
we
true.
should not talk about that right
that's
now.
true. And Seinfeld, there's so many Seinfeld episodes wouldn't be if it was made today because cell phones, one thing. They just text them, and then George's wife wouldn't have died.
Anyway.
R.I.P. in pieces. But yeah, we also have a YouTube channel which I mentioned earlier, Three Wise Media,
Which may soon you'll be able to see us.
Yeah, we might start doing a actual like video pod of the podcast so you guys can see us. So we'll actually have to start wearing clothes. Ugh, boy.
Maybe you guys.
And we'll see what happens with that. We definitely need to do a commentary. I want to do it this month, so we will probably maybe do it this month.
This month is god awful for me.
Damn. Maybe not this month. We'll see how things go. But yeah, thank you for listening. I got nothing else. You guys have anything else? I feel like that's everything. All right, bye.
Three Wise Radio!